On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being excellent, how have you been dealing with the pandemic?
I'd say a 7. I think we've done well. I think with a fraction of the information, even being a part of the emergency policy group, they give you 5% of the information and call on you to make a vote, and you make it quick. I think we look back on some things and we said we did things well. The precautionary measures I placed in the jails, you see where some jails and inmates have been severely affected with the community spread in the hundreds. We're in the low teens, including our employees. So I think we've done a great job of not having to quarantine a ton of employees, or employees being out of work and employees infected. So I think in some ways we've done great. I don't. There's no reference guide. I think you look back on some of it and say we've missed the mark. We've could have done better with some different decisions. But you did the best you can, and I can assure you, every decision I made was erring on the side of keeping our community safe.
What's the first step you'll take to curb crime in Hillsborough County?
Yeah, I think we've done a great job the last 2 years with so many people moving to Hillsborough County. More people of an increased influx of population means more crime. That's just the statistical, historically what we see. We've done a great job over the last 2 years. We reduced crime by 10.8 and 10.2%, and I think it's going to be even greater this year. So a lot of our crime reduction strategies are working. Where I've really tried to focus on crime prevention, getting the youth, having deputies in the Boys and Girls Club, working with at-youth risk through our junior achievement program with an educational program that we're associated with. Crystal Ray High School, again, another high school that takes at-risk youth, that does a work study. They go to school a half a day and they come work with us a half a day. A lot of prevention, a lot of what I say is going to be prevention, and community outreach comes under that preventative tool. Having advisory councils, minority advisory councils that we meet with on a monthly basis to look around the corner. What's a dilemma in the African American community? I only know because of the relationships that I've built. So relying on those relationships and those preventative measures is going to be the key to crime reduction as we move forward.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food is lasagna.
Do you cook?
I don't cook.
What does the Black Lives Matter movement mean to you?
I think it means the same with everyone, a call for change, a demand for change.
What's the one thing people don't know about your career?
Ooh. I think a lot of people don't know that I've been a sheriff's deputy for 29 years. They don't know that I grew up here. I became a man here. Came here when I was 23 years old. I think that this career has given me as much as I've given the office of the sheriff. I tell people all the time, I loved going to work. When I was brand new, I mean, my car was clean. I waxed the stickers right off the car. And 29 years later, I still love my job. I love what I do. I just have a bigger platform to affect even greater change and a positive change at the office, and then on the 4,000 employees that I work with, and then those employees, the change they can have out in the community.
Who is your favorite musical artist?
Coldplay.
Streaming music or vinyl records?
Oh, that's a tough one. Just because the lack of availability, I'd have to stay streaming.
Defund the police or restructure the police?
Yeah, I wouldn't ever recommend defunding the police. Like I alluded to earlier, a lot of the preventative programs, our holistic approach that we've gone to preventing crime. One thing I want to do different is not just be tough on crime. You have those small minority of the population that create a majority of the crime. We'll focus on those. We have a special place in our jails, and we'll make sure they don't victimize our community. One thing I wanted to do is be smart on crime. I have social workers that go out with our behavioral health deputies to respond to mental health calls for service. I have a vocational trade center inside our jail, and that has been my vision, my baby for the last 3 years. So what I wanted to do is take this holistic approach and get to solutions-based policing, actually fixing problems, not putting people in the jail and get out and we don't fix them, we don't help them, and then we wonder why they come back. So I've really focused on that. So when you talk about defunding the police, those are going to be the first programs to go, because when you pick up the phone and call for a deputy, we have to send you somebody. So it would be all the other, I think, great programs that we have in place. Our homeless initiative, to where again we don't put homeless in jail. We focus on getting them gainful employment, treatment, their ID, veterans benefits, sometimes even a bus ticket home. So coming in, I expanded our mental health programs in the jail. They have a separate pod. Our veterans resurgence program, where we focus on veterans, and mental health and drug addiction. We have the only state-certified drug rehabilitation center and detention facility right here in Hillsborough County. So my goal was to get you healthy, then get you some type of training. So we have 41 different educational programs, from balancing a checkbook to your GED program, all the way up to braiding hair, whatever, some type of educational program. And then I wanted to take it to the next level and provide a skill set. And that's this vocational training center that I alluded to. And that teaches individuals basic automotive maintenance, basic welding, forklift operations, and being fully certified because of all the warehouses, including Amazon here, and then basic HVAC and construction. I started with 4 different courses that I thought would help individuals with obtaining gainful employment once they left here. So when you talk about defunding the police, it's just the opposite for me. I'm talking about this holistic approach, and that holistic approach would be the first to be removed if somebody would remove those important dollars from us.
What are your hobbies?
Oh, fishing, cars. I love cars. I'm a car nut, so I love looking at cars. So fishing, cars, and again, my biggest hobby of all is being with the family. I think being in law enforcement for so long, I put such a high value and appreciate my family. So again, that's my happy place.
Racial injustice in America, how can we fix it?
I think it's a complex problem. I don't think anyone can give you a 2-second answer. The solution has to be complex as well, from criminal justice reform, and that's been important to me, keeping individuals out of the criminal justice system. I started focusing on youth and keeping juveniles who make a simple mistake, like most of us have, but our family or someone, like my grandfather raised me, he was the police, he was the sheriff's office for me. And now in society, we've seen how that public, how that family unit is broken down. And so when kids make a mistake or commit a low-level nonviolent offense, they call the sheriff's office. You have to fix this. Well, deputy, I have to provide good service. I have to place you under arrest. So with the diversion program that I created for juveniles, expanded it 3 times over the past 3 years, that now at only 5 misdemeanor low-level offenses is precluded from a juvenile committing a crime and not being entangled in this criminal justice system. The same with adults. I'm like, well, it works for juveniles. Why wouldn't we do it for adults? So I created an adult diversion program. And sometimes the consequences are just as great. With adults, they lose that income for their family. Maybe they lose their job. They're saddled with a criminal history, and then we sit back and wonder why it's not thriving. So a lot of, I think, reform has to start with criminal justice reform, and focused on that. So from the preventative programs to the criminal justice reform, again, focusing on community outreach. I think all of that is this multifaceted approach to inequities in criminal justice.
Yes or no? Mandatory body cams for police officers?
100% yes. Matter of fact, I just finished issuing body cameras to 1,000 deputies. Those deputies who have the most interaction with the public, including our specialty teams, school resource deputies, Marine deputies, K-9 deputies, anyone that has the most interaction with the public. It was just finished last week, has mandatory body-worn cameras. Very important when you talk in terms of building that that trust through transparency and that accountability. We have it.
How to end police brutality?
I think it's, again, a complex solution. It goes back to who you hire. Over the last 3 years, I wanted a workforce. One of the priorities when I became sheriff was having a workforce that reflects the community that we serve. Our diversity rate in hiring since I became sheriff has been 60%. 59.9, went up the year before from 58.9 to 59.9. So you have to have a workforce that reflects the community that you serve. Then it's how you train them. Train, and expended a lot of resources and pulled the deputies and employees off the street to focus on training. Implicit bias training that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement says you have to have once every 4 years. I give it every year. De-escalation that you have to give once every 4 years. I give it every year. And then I've also implemented advanced 40-hour mandatory mental health crisis training for every single sheriff's deputy that was just completed. Now all the civilian employees will get it. So I think it goes to who you hire, how you train them, and then the culture of the office. It starts with me. Having policies in place, a fair to act policy. If you see something and you don't intervene, you're just as responsible. Having that third party that I've just contracted with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. If there's a deadly use of force by any of our employees, it's investigated by an outside law enforcement entity that we have no connection with. So again, that creates that transparency. So then again, it goes back to community outreach and all the programs that we talked about. So heavy focus on all of that.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie, and people are going to laugh at me, is The Notebook. I love The Notebook. I think Hopeless Romantic with me and my wife, and our favorite movie together. So without question, and someone will make fun of me the minute they watch this. I'm sorry. Yes, I love the action-packed flicks as well, but The Notebook.
Do you watch crime shows?
I don't. Sometimes, once in a while, I might get caught up on a movie or something like that, but I just find them too unrealistic. The fact that you can solve a crime in 45 minutes, add the commercials, I just think it creates an unrealistic look into law enforcement. And I'm tired of seeing a lot of the mainstream entertainment industry always portrays even police movies as the cops crooked, the cops this, the cop, and I think that's a unfair biased reflection of law enforcement, and it attributes to the overall view of why hiring for public safety has become so difficult.
What steps needs to be taken to culturally diversify the police department?
I think it starts from the top. I started with modifying a lot of requirements with the hiring process. The first and biggest was before I became sheriff, you had to have a 4-year college degree to get hired with the sheriff's office. Well, who's affected the most by not being able to afford or having programs to be able to attend college? Minorities. And then you sit back and you really have to scratch your head and wonder why your workforce isn't more diverse. So the first thing I did is did away with the education requirements. Listen, I'm going to give you plenty of training and teach you how to be a great deputy sheriff. You just need that passion for service and serving the community. So again, I think the biggest step, the first step, is steps in being more diverse in who you hire.
What's the deal with donuts and police officers?
It started a long time ago because you think about it, society has changed. But it used to be a time when 6, 7, sometimes maybe 8 o'clock was the latest a business was open. Everybody went home to their families to eat with their families, and everything was shut down. Well, the only exception to that was coffee and donut shops. They were 24-hour. I mean, for years and years and years growing up, that's the only thing that was open. So it was always coffee, but cops and donuts, because the donut shop was the only thing open at night when a police officer was hungry. And then it just grew from there.
So what's your favorite podcast?
How Men Think.
What's your favorite book?
Again, people are going to think this goofy. My favorite book's the Bible. How can you not say the Bible? I think everything starts and stops there. It's with the Bible. You start with your faith. That's your foundation. Everything grows from there.
And last question. Good cops versus bad cops. Not all cops are bad, are they?
No, I bet you 99.9% cops are good. They're out here every day. They don't do it for the money. They don't do it for the claim. They're left with making split-second decisions that last a lifetime, but they kiss their loved ones goodbye every day and go serve this community, not knowing what the shift ahead lies in front of them. And they do it because they love this community, and they do it because they're good cops. The 0.1% that you hear about, they're the bad cops. They're the ones that, as a sheriff, that you look to weed out, because one bad encounter ruins it for everyone. And that's what you're seeing, how one bad encounter halfway across the country has ruined it, and has ruined it for every law enforcement officer. It's almost like we're starting from scratch. And when I was a young deputy, I remember seeing it with Rodney King. And every time you went somewhere, Rodney King, and I'm, Rodney King, what are you talking about? I'm doing a traffic stop. You're driving 100 miles an hour. Had nothing to do with any type. But again, I think there's a lot of good things that are coming out of it as well. We took an introspective look. of where we could get better. And I was proud when you saw the 8 can't wait and a lot of the policies and procedures, and I was so excited. We've done all those 8. We've had them in place. But then I looked at and took an introspective look of where can we get better? And that creating that third party that investigates uses of force. Part of the NAACP and ACLU, and every single chief and then myself as the sheriff meet and monthly and created this forum of where's this change? Where can we become better? So I think a lot of good has coming out of it. But again, you'll find that 99.9% of law enforcement, they're there because they want to be. They could make a lot more money sitting at home writing programs or doing something at home relaxed, and they wouldn't change it for the world. They want to be out here and they want to make their community, they want to make the world a better place too. Unfortunately, you only hear the bad ones. And unlike other careers, bad doctors, bad attorneys, you don't hear about it, so it's not as prevalent. But I certainly want to say that with the caveat, and I tell people this all the time, we're in the service industry. No different than you go to your favorite nail salon, favorite hairdresser, favorite restaurant, whatever the case may be. It's because of the service you get. And I tell people all the time, they look at me. I was telling a buddy of mine that owns a car dealership, and he's all service oriented. I'm like, well, I'm in the service industry too. And he goes, no, you're in the police industry. You arrest people. I'm like, that's such a small part of what we do. We're in the service industry. No matter what your reason is for interaction with a deputy sheriff, I want it to be the most professional that you've ever seen. And you do that, and it goes back to what we spoke about earlier, training. You let them make their mistakes, whatever the case may be, down in a training scenario, so they're not making out here in real life.